IGEMS has recently made some updates to their nesting module, which if your IGEMS maintenance is up to date, you can go to their website and download the most recent version of IGEMS and get this functionality. So we're going to go ahead and nest these parts here. So I'll go to the Auto Nest button, and for select parts, I'm just going to select everything. And select sheets and obstacles, I'm just going to hit enter right now. So this will bring up this dialog box here. So here we've got a listing of the parts that we want to cut and the quantity. And then over on the right, you've got a dialog box where you can change the various values for the different parts here. So one thing you can do is specify filler parts. So the quantity would be the quantity of parts that you definitely want to get, and then the filler parts can use up to that many parts to either fill up an entire sheet or just the portion of the sheet that's being used by the parts that you really want. So on these 4 parts here, I'm just going to select those, and I'm going to specify 50 fill parts for each of those. So we want 100 of this part plus up to an additional 50 fill parts. And then you can also specify things like we could before with the automatic rotation, whether you want to be able to mirror a part. So if you need to do a left and right hand side, you can do it through that. Priority, if you've got something that has to happen earlier in the nest, you can specify different priority levels for parts, colors, which will help to distinguish the part in the nest layout, and whether you want to be able to do common line cutting on a part, whether you want to be able to nest parts within holes on a part, you can specify all that. So that can be specified for every part. On the Sheets tab, you can specify the sheets that you want to be able to nest on. So if you've got some remnant sheets like I've drawn in the background here, you can click on the plus button and at the bottom select Sheets and Obstacles. So I'll select those 2 sheets. And then you can add additional rectangular sheets by clicking on this button here, which brings up your standard sheet size box, and click on OK. And you can specify how many sheets that you have available. And if you haven't already specified it in the material file, you can specify your collar width, and we'll click on OK on that. So we've got our sheet listing here. That's available sheets. And similar to the parts, you can also specify a priority. So if you definitely wanted this sheet to be used first, you can set this priority to highest. The other option is down here. You can specify to go by priority or by the order list, or automatic. It'll just find the optimum material utilization. So I can just set this to none, and as long as this is first on the list, I select order and list here, then it'll use this first, and then this, and then it'll start working through the 10 sheets that are available of this material. And then over here on the right, you can save different presets over here, so you can make it easy to switch between different nesting algorithms you want to use, depending on what you want to do there. Part distance, so you can either use what's specified in the material file, or you can click in this box and override that, where you want to start on the nest, how you want to work your way through the sheet. And then a new thing is this multiplicity choice. So if multiplicity is turned off, it's just going to make whatever individual nest that it needs for the quantity that you've specified. So if, say, for example, you've got hundreds of parts and it's going to take 10 sheets. If you turn on the multiplicity, then it'll try to make duplicated nests, which may mean that your yield percentage maybe isn't as good as if the multiplicity were turned off, but rather than ending up with 10 individual CNC files, you might end up with 4 individual CNC files plus 1 nest, which is repeated. You would just cut 6 times, so fewer CNC files. And we'll show you how that would work here. Then you've got the choice for fillers after frontline. So if this box is unchecked, it's just going to use the fill parts up to wherever it finishes on the sheet with the required quantity of parts. If you check this box, then it'll end up using the entire sheet for the balance of the entire sheet for the fill parts. And then you've got your choice for whether you want to use multiple cutting heads, and then whether you want to use common line cutting. So we'll go ahead and check that, and then click on Nest. And this box comes up, and then it'll start showing you the different layouts here. So this is with the multiplicity turned off, and then we'll try it with the multiplicity turned on and see what's different. So right now we're up to basically five layouts that it's come up with. It shows you the quantity of parts requested, quantity nested, how many fill parts it's used, percentage utilization and such. And down here you can change between, shows you the 5 different layouts or the individual part colors, priority. If you had specified a higher priority of parts, you would see where those are in the nest. Layout mode will just kind of line up your different nests in one easy to see layout like that. So let's see, what are we up to here? About 73% right now. So if I just click on cancel and then go back and turn multiplicity on high and click on nest again, we'll see what happens here. So what it's got right now, these 2 nests are the same. And we'll just let this go for a little bit more and see what happens here. What you can also see on this nest here is the red lines. Red lines indicate areas where it's going to do a common cut. So that's nice, where before you would have to, if you wanted to do the common line cutting on a nest, you'd do your nest of your common line cut parts first, and then you'd go back and you'd nest your other parts separately later. So a little bit easier now. So that's the idea with the multiplicity, where it's creating multiple nests that are the same. So rather than having to make 5 individual CNC files, you'd make 4 CNC files, and you'd run this one twice. So that's that. And then if you did want to do multiple cutting heads, so if I check this box, currently common line cutting and multiple cutting heads are not compatible. So if you do leave both of these checked and you click on nest, it's going to come up with a little warning here that common line cutting and multiple tools are mutually exclusive, common cut disabled. And then it'll go ahead and calculate this for the other multiple heads. So here again, it made these 2 sheets the same. So the parts in gray would be head number 2, and the colored parts would be head number 1. So that's a quick overview of the new nesting module. If you have any questions on that, let us know.